Welcome to Today in Prophecy, daily news in 15 minutes or less. Hey, before I get going, just a quick note. I will be at 7 p.m., Calvary Chapel of the Harbor, Huntington Beach tonight with Pastor Joe Pettick, who is hosting our time together, and Pastor Brandon Holthouse. So all three of us is going to be terrific. Again, Calvary Chapel of the Harbor in Huntington Beach, California, coming up tonight. Oh, by the way, September 8th, we'll be at Rise Church in San Marcos, California on Sunday night. I'll tell you more about that next time. Let's get rolling with some things that we have to talk about right now. Check this out. War progression. A second U.S. aircraft carrier arrived in the Middle East. Folks, as you look at what's going on over in Israel, they're surrounding, the U.S. Navy is surrounding the Mideast. It's a threat against Iran. As I look at it, it appears to me that the U.S. wants war. You can't really tell exactly what they're doing. They say one thing, they do something else. The U.S. has given billions of dollars to Iran, while at the same time sending over fleets of Navy ships to the Mideast to protect Israel. So what is really going on? The U.S. has pressured Israel and tried to get them to back out of Gaza and let the U.S. bring peace there or something like that. Try to tie the hands of Israel in being able to defend themselves. So what is the real message? What's really going on with the Mideast? It appears to me something strange is happening. It appears that the U.S. wants war over there. All right, we'll keep you updated on what's going on with Israel. But Israel, obviously, over this past weekend, they were very effective in what they did when they went after Hamas. They sent a clear message to Hezbollah. They sent a very clear message to Iran also. But Israel has their hands full. They're surrounded by their enemies. Listen, we know what the Bible says for how it's going to finish, and we know that Israel is always going to stand. Jerusalem is always going to stand. The Jews are always going to be here, and Jesus is going to come back. So we look at everything in the light of what the Bible says. Next article. How soon before you will need a digital ID to access public services? The Biden administration is drafting an executive order for federal and state governments to speed up the adoption of digital ID, including mobile driver's licenses, and for the development of a uniform government-run online identity system to verify identity and age and access public websites and services. As you look at this and you realize, okay, we have open borders where they don't care to identify anybody. Here, if you are a citizen of the United States, you're going to have a digital ID. You're going to be tracked. Okay, we look at this in light of what's been announced for coming to Australia. Australia has been trying to implement a digital ID program. It sounds like it's going to happen. Now they're saying that 2025. And it sounds so wonderful. They're saying, hey, you won't need to carry your driver's license. You won't need to carry your passport anymore. You'll have everything right on your phone. So that's what they're telling us here. Hey, you'll have a digital ID for your driver's license here in America right on your phone. And we know it's going to be passports too. And it seems like it would be so easy. I know with as much traveling as I've done, that when it comes to going through airports, you're constantly getting out your IDs. What if you lose an ID? And suddenly, or you're stuck in another country without it. So the appeal will be great for people to go, yes, please put that on my phone. It's going to be convenient. You're always going to have it with you. Unless you lose your phone. Hey, then what happens? Well, then you got a mark of the beast on your right hand or forehead, because people will lose their phones, and it's just going to sound easier and easier and easier as things progress forward. And you start to realize, hey, it makes sense. Hey, think of it like this. In this context, when we look at certain Bible prophecies, just take one, Revelation chapter 13, for example, no one will be able to buy or sell unless they receive the mark of the beast and have his image. In other words, a tracking system for everybody, knowing exactly what you're doing, what you're spending your money on, what you aren't. And you start to realize the Bible says this almost 2,000 years ago, said that was going to come. Then you look at where we are today and you go, is there anything happening today that would take us to that direction? And you start to look at these things and you go, aha, listen, that helps you to be wise and discerning and recognize, listen, these things are a trap. Why is it that so many different things are all going the way that the Bible said they were going to go? So it helps you to be wise and discerning, to be understanding as we live in the days in which we live, and we can know that the Bible is true. Well, speaking of, check this out. Here's another article. Images show Utopian city Tolosa planned for the U.S. One of America's top billionaires is backing the construction of a 15-minute city in the middle of the American West Desert called Tolosa. The city, which is the brainchild of former Walmart president Mark Lohr, hopes to have 5 million residents by 2050 and will be built using sustainable, eco-friendly structures. While no set timeline for construction has been announced, the project has said that the first residents will be ready to move in 2030. So you look at this and you go, wait a minute, a 15-minute city? Huh, interesting. By the way, join me on the app. We are adding more and more exclusive content on the app only, app and website. The Hope for Our Times website, hopeforourtimes.com. We're adding more and more there to be able to get you more and more information that is necessary because, quite frankly, there's so many things that are going on. I have more interviews that we're doing over there. So if you want to check them out, in fact, Dave Bone is my guest coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about these 15-minute cities, one of the items he's going to be bringing up. Listen, out in Arizona, for example, there's already a city like this, not exactly the same, but like this, where people are required, get this, to give up their cars. They have to sign an agreement that I do not own a car. So in other words, you're just gonna have the city, everything is self-contained. There you go. And people are saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. Again, this is for your peace and safety. Where have we heard that before? Because they care about us. They want to protect us. It's for the environment. We're going to make sure that you don't get any diseases or anything like that. So where all of this going? It's going the direction that the Bible said it was going to go. Speaking of, I commented on this on Sunday night. In Oregon, check this out. Oregon is offering $30,000 for new home buyers. The only requirement is that you can't be an American citizen. You look at that. Now, California has something similar on the table. I talked about this on Sunday night, but if you missed that, I wanted you to pay attention to what's going on. Where's this money coming from in Oregon? Where's it coming from in California? It's coming from the taxpayers. So your taxpayer money is going to give $30,000 to people who aren't even citizens of the United States of America. Whereas if you want to get a house, are you going to just, hey, here's 30 grand for you? No, you know that's not going to happen. They're gaslighting everybody. They're doing these things that we know are totally evil, totally wrong. Check this out. Jerusalem Post, another article. Let's keep moving. Again, news in 15 minutes or less. Today in Prophecy, the Jerusalem Post. MBS, as Mohammed bin Salman seeks U.S. and Israeli assurances in Saudi deal amid fears of backlash. Saudi Crown Prince MBS demands U.S. and Israeli commitments on a Palestinian state, citing security fears as he negotiates a historic deal. On August 14th, the U.S. digital news medium Politico published an exclusive report. It was based on accounts from 3 separate sources who had been privy to talks between Saudi Crown Prince MBS and members of the U.S. Congress. These talks were the latest in a series of detailed discussions that have been taking place for years between the United States and Saudi Arabia. They began during the presidency of Trump and preceded the Abraham Accords. Over time, the shape of a complex agreement of major significance has emerged, clearly aimed at boosting MBS's ambitious program for securing Saudi's future development. His Saudi Vision 2030, launched in 2016, aimed at breaking the nation's total dependence on oil and promoting additional means of developing the nation's potential. There's so much going on here regarding what MBS wants to do. He's saying, hey, I'm just going to give you one example. If these globalists get their way, everybody's going to be driving electric cars. Guess what that's going to do to Saudi Arabia? it's going to cause them all kinds of problems, right? Because it's petroleum based. So Saudi Arabia, think through this, is with MBS, is negotiating their future. They're looking, going, wait a minute, we want to be in a really good position financially. We have to be. We can be the economic powerhouse of the world, not based on oil, but based on other things. That's what it appears to be that MBS is doing, and he recognizes something that's necessary is the state of Israel and good business relations with the state of Israel in order to be rich, which also helps us to understand, hey, Palestinian state, what do you mean? This Palestinian cause, Yasser Arafat and his whole group, not Yasser Arafat anymore, but the group he started with the PLO and so forth. Hey, they've been a problem in the side. We've got to get past that. So this is what he's saying. We got to create something that's basically going to make sure that there's a wealth in it. There's a motivator. The Abraham Accords provides that. It's like this a vehicle that's necessary to bring certain things about that Saudi Arabia needs financially to protect themselves from oil situations in the future, which also helps us to understand Ezekiel chapter 38, where the protest coming from Saudi Arabia in that future battle is, the protest is, did you come to take plunder? Are you coming into Israel? Are you invading Israel, making war with Israel for money because there's something here that you want? Makes a lot of sense when you realize Saudi Arabia is talking about negotiating something with the nation of Israel and the U.S. that's going to benefit them economically in a very significant way. And you start to look at it with Bible prophecy, you go, okay, man, that makes a lot of sense. Very interesting days that we live in. We'll keep looking at that. Hey, if you would like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. It's the only way that we can really combat the lies with the truth. We have to tell the truth. There's lies everywhere. We bring this program, Today in Prophecy, to help combat the lies with the truth. All right. What else do we have? Well, look at this. Last story for you. Navy could sideline 17 support ships due to manpower issues. If you've been following stories on the U.S. military, so much of it is woke. A lot of the good people have left the military. And then you have manpower issues. So sidelining 17 ships, that sounds like that could be a definite problem because we don't have enough good manpower. I mean, we have advertisements for recruiting wokeness. Men can become girls and be part of the military. And you start looking at this and going, what happened to the military wanting to recruit men that would be men? Russia looks at this, China looks at this, all of our enemies look at these things and laugh. And now they're saying, hey, we might just have to bring a mandatory draft back. Why? Because you chased all the good people away. But maybe that's part of the destruction of America. The intention of the globalists is to destroy America. You destroy it by destroying the military, destroying the economy, destroying the schools, destroying the government, destroying churches, get your hand in everything and just turn it into an absolute mess. Listen, thank you for joining me today. Again, tonight, 7 p.m., Calvary Chapel of the Harbor in Huntington Beach, California. I'll be with Pastor Joe Pettick and also with Pastor Brandon Holdhouse. Going to be a great evening. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. God bless.